So, good evening and welcome to Let's Talk Trek. We are the UK's premier number one Sunday night Star Trek show. Tonight I'm joined by Rick.
Only Sunday show.
We are, which makes it instantly the best. It's a bit of a different show today, if I'm honest. Due to various things, we're all having stuff going on in life, and I thought it might be. We're going to sort of do the show a little bit different today, so it might have a bit of a different tone, but bear with it will make sense. So we'll just let people come on board, and we'll.
If it's going to make anyone feel any better at some point, I will promise you say something completely inappropriate, just for giggles. If that's going to help, there's a promise of that at the
end. Absolutely. So let me just have a look who's on board this evening. So we've got Gary on board. Hello, Gary. And Val's here. If you're going to say something inappropriate, should we put up the inappropriate warning?
Please be aware that the following program contains scenes which may not be suitable for younger children. Some parental discretion is advised.
That's not the one, is it, Dan?
No, that's not the one, but it's close enough. Right, so let's have a look. Vicky's in. Hello, Vicky. And Gary. And Christoph. And Katie. And Christoph saying the word inappropriate at this point.
Yeah, we're going to get, as Dan said, full disclaimer, this is going to be a different show for a number of different reasons. We've all got some stuff that has been going on, is going on at the moment. And we could have easily not done the show today. But then we wouldn't be Sunday's premiere Star Trek show. But Dan and I having a quick chat before the show started, and we decided, getting back to why we started doing this show, was when lockdown first happened and people were scared and there was a lot of fear and anxiety going on in the world, and we felt we did this show not because we thought we could save the world, but because we thought we could save each other by having a reason for getting together every week, which is ultimately what made me decide to get on the show tonight, if I'm honest with you, because I wasn't going to. But yeah, that's why we're here. Well, I'm here. It would appear that Dan's frozen, so I guess I'll kick things off. It's been a challenging time for everyone at Let's Talk Trek at the moment. Dan's come forward and been quite honest with the difficulties that he's been having with his mental health recently. And it takes a lot of courage sometimes to come out and say that actually you're not okay. And I think that it's a bit of a coined phrase where you say, it's okay not to be okay. Actually, I think that's bullshit. It's not okay not to be okay, because everyone should be okay. And if you're not okay, you should be reaching out for help, and then you can. But it's okay to admit you're not okay. I think that's important. At the moment, in my own personal life, I have two close family members that are quite seriously ill, and it's taking a hard toll on me. Dan's obviously had his problems recently, which he's been very forthcoming in talking about. And the reason why Dan really wanted to do the show tonight still, regardless of all these things, is because I think when you get down to what's really good about Star Trek, what we all love about Star Trek, is it makes you feel better. It really does. Normally you watch it, it makes you feel better. And it makes you feel better for a number of different reasons. And straight back to the issues that Dan's been having, whereby his mental health has been taken a big battering recently. In 1986, when Next Generation first aired, they had a counsellor on the bridge. They recognised that mental health was important enough that it's something that you should be okay talking about. So, sitting next to the captain was his own personal mental health advisor. That's how important it was. So this goes to show exactly how important it is and how important it is in the world of Star Trek that mental health is addressed and is important. And at the same time, the things I'm dealing with at the moment, where I have two family members that are very ill, one that's unfortunately in hospital at the moment. I've been absolutely fine reaching out for any support as and when I've needed it, because that's something else that the Star Trek community do. They support each other when you're down. And as much as I think everyone is very used to me being the comic entertainment on this show, at times I have been quite serious about things that are important. It has happened from time to time. And I sit here now alone in front of you with no wingman, trying to see if we're all going to be here supporting each other. But there we are. So, moving on, I suppose, as I'm sat here by myself. I've got to entertain you all for now. We better talk about some Star Trek. So, oh, hello. No, we're back in the room.
Hello. Sorry about that. Apparently, exactly 9 o'clock was the time that Logitech decided to do a firmware update on my webcam. So,
isn't Logitech the honestly it? They like when you buy a product and it says on it seamless transition. You don't fucking lie. Logitech are the worst for it, and there we go.
So where did we get up to?
I covered the fact that you have some issues at the moment, I have some issues at the moment, but we've gone ahead and done the show anyway. And I said mainly because of the reason we started doing the show. This was why we started doing the show in the first place.
Yeah.
Hello. And here's we're all here now. I'll shut up because people are probably sick of the sound of my voice. For the last 8 minutes when I've been on my own.
So what I said to Richard was, I sort of told my story on Facebook to my close friends, and quite a few have sort of reached out to me and said it sort of helped. So in the way that you can't really put genies back in the bottle once you've let them out into the world, people will find out one way or another. So I may as well say it here. And you know, if it helps somebody, fantastic. And if it doesn't, then you know what, all of it is a waste of it of your time. And that's probably, I thought we'd have a little chat about it. Because like Richard said, mental health is really important. And Star Trek it's always had a fairly decent representation of mental health. You know, we had in the 80s a ship with a counselor on it, there's the episode of Deep Space Nine when Ezri agrees to join the Deep Space Nine crew when Sisko says, "You have just agreed to take care of the mental health of everyone in this room," in the middle of a war. They were very aware of how important mental health was, even back in the 80s. So,
I mean, and then bear in mind, this is the 80s where mental health was, you should probably shoot some people, make you feel better. That's what mental health. Watch the A-Team and Airwolf and that. Then Star Trek was the leading light. There wasn't anything like Star Trek saying it was okay not to be okay back then. There was literally nothing. It was just Star Trek.
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry, James, you've walked into the middle of this and we didn't brief you of what's going to happen.
Well, yes, that's because my son decided to turn off all the technology in this room, and it's taken me 10 minutes to reboot everything.
Goodness, is he actually 11 from Stranger Things?
I've not seen enough Stranger Things to know what that's about.
You've not watched Stranger Things?
Well, the present Mrs. Dillon gave up about 8 episodes in, so I've kind of forgotten it.
Okay. So, so let's...
Sorry, what are we talking about, boys? I finally got sound and vision on.
Okay, so I was saying...
Okay.
Okay, short version is, do you remember what I put on Facebook a couple of weeks ago?
Yes.
And a couple of people have now I've had several messages from people saying that what I've done, what I put up and how I explained it has made them take stock of where they're up to. And I thought, well, if it can help people, fantastic. So that's why I'm going to talk about it today.
Okay, cool.
There wasn't much to talk about. And give me a minute because it's not the easiest thing to go through. So we did the show every Sunday, and about 10 weeks ago, I did the show with the guys, and we signed off. And I tried to do something remarkably stupid straight after the show. Didn't reach out to any of these. I tried to kill myself. Is the short version of this. I'd sort of hit this point, and the world was falling to pieces, and you don't want to be a pain, and you don't want to disrupt anyone, and you think it's easiest for it not to. It's easy not to sort of You don't want to moiver people. You don't want people to see you as a failure. And I was trying to do something on my terms, and for a very split second, I tried to do something ridiculous. And I reached out not long afterwards to these guys and said, "Look, this is what's happened." And I spoke to the doctors and said, "Look, I don't think I'm all right." Is the honest answer. It took the doctors 4 weeks to talk to me because, they're busy. And it turned out that, do you know what? I'm not the only one that's struggling. Apparently, it's a lot more common than I sort of had the thinking and the impression of. So they've got me some tablets, and it doesn't fix it. It just makes it better.
It's important to say though. It's wonderful the fact that you can say here to everyone that you're taking tablets, because tablets aren't. There's a stigma attached to it. There shouldn't be, but there is. And whether you have to take tablets for mental health, whether you have to take tablets for blood pressure, or even to maintain an erection, it's nothing you should be embarrassed about. You should just simply come out and tell the rest of the world.
So some of the coping mechanisms that I didn't know existed. So I went to doctors, and doctors have given me some tablets, and you both talked about this. It's there's a horrible thing that actually the tablets make you worse before they make you better, and that's been a hard 3 or 4 weeks to sort of get through. And now they've just adjusted the dose up, and that's hard as well. And it shows, and I'm not concentrating on stuff, and there's all that going on in the background. I've got personal things that are going on in the background which aren't brilliant. But if you get to a point like I did, where you have, you don't think you want to bother your friends, or you don't want to talk to people, or the doctor told me that, did you know that you could just go to A&E and say, "Look, I'm struggling," and I didn't even know you could do that, because, like, to me, A&E is, I've cut my arm off, or I've broken my leg, or it's not. I'm not feeling right in my head. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you can go up to A&E with the most embarrassing of illnesses, but you can actually show them, like, "Oh, fucking twat, I was trying to change the blades on the lawnmower."
Yeah. Oh, look, I've cut my hand open here. Oh, can I?
That's it. You can show people that to rock up at an emergency station and say, "Look, I think I'm actually going to try and top myself here," with a straight face, and say, "I need someone to help me stop me from doing this." I think the vast majority of us would all say that the last thing that they would think that they could actually physically do. I mean, could you imagine phoning up the police and saying, "Well, I want to report a pre-crime because I think I might hurt myself"? How stupid you would sound. But in actual fact,
all of these emergency services, Richard, have streams that run into effectively local mental health authorities. So when Dan is talking about going to A&E, within pretty much every NHS trust, there sits something called liaison psychiatry, who are there to take control of mental health issues. And if you do report to the police that you are at imminent risk of harm, they're meant to do a welfare check on you, and they should refer you straight to the local crisis team. So these resources are there. But what Dan has highlighted is that even if you do know to go and get the help, sometimes you will be waiting an inordinate amount of time to receive proper help. So I know that he did take nearly a month, I think, to actually get to speak to a proper clinician who was able to do anything for him.
Yeah.
And that's a sad resources that are available.
Yeah, I mean, so this isn't I'm going to put this out there. This isn't a woe is me and I'm not doing it as a self-pity exercise on here. It's to say to people, look, if you are struggling or if something isn't right or you're having a rough time, don't be me. Don't do the show and then try and do something stupid, because you know what? It was a rock smaller than my hand. It's a rock smaller than my hand that stopped my car from going off a cliff. And you know what? It's fate or the universe or something. Maybe put it there. I don't know. Depends on what you believe in. Luck, dumbness, gravity. Choose a name. But it didn't happen like you would have expected it to. And yeah, do you know what? And it's weird. So what I've done is I've taken some time off work. I've taken a couple of weeks off my day job, and I've watched a lot of Star Trek in the last 2 weeks. And I've sort of been trying to focus on episodes that deal with people who've got problems and how they look at it, because I'm looking for answers. Does that make sense? I'm looking for, yeah. And some of the episodes that sort of resonated with me, there's the episode where, do you remember the episode where Worf wants Riker to help him when he's paralyzed?
The barrel hits him, yeah.
And the barrel hits him. And essentially the episode is, look, you know, there's stuff to live for. And that sort of resonated with me for a bit. You know, there's various episodes like that are just like, oh, okay.
Well, the most recent episode of Strange New Worlds that I suppose we should be discussing had a very similar connotation, where a very young person chose to sacrifice their life in the name of basically the religion of his planet. But it was very much coined in the episode that this was the child's choice.
Yeah.
That they wanted to do this. But it resonates with everyone who thinks about their own mortality, but thinks, exactly as you said before, is the world going to be a better place without me? You know, the answer is, of course, no. You know, because you're not going to be plugged into a machine that's going to power a planet's AI system. It would just be a bit shitter without you and make a lot of people upset, which is true probably for 99% of anyone who's contemplating taking their own life. It's a short-term fix for you, but sadly it doesn't address the problem for you personally.
No. And it's, like I say, we're not here as a pity thing. We're just saying, look, people, go, if you're feeling low, there are random friends you can talk to, and there are strangers. If you know, talking to a stranger is better, because you know what, I actually found one of the things they've done is they've maybe gone and talked to a counsellor, and actually open up to somebody that doesn't know me and doesn't know the situation is actually easier than in your head. You're like, well, if I talk to someone I know, there's judgment and all the rest that comes with that. So yeah, sometimes that's easier as well. So yeah, I mean, bear with me. Bear with the show, bear with the pages, because motivation is hard at the moment. The weird thing is, like, if mood was a wave form, imagine a sine wave. So you've got your low points of how you're feeling, which are the troughs, and the peaks are all your good points. So these tablets move your bottom points to more of a flat line, but they also compress your front ones down as well. So your mood gets a little bit less. So if I don't seem as energetic or anything, that's what that is. It's not, I'm not interested, or I'm not replying to your message. It's just I'm sleeping lots. Yeah. Anyway, right. So let's have a look through some of these comments. Let's see, because like I know James is having a rough time this week, and Richard's having a really rough time, and Carl's having a rough time, and rough times seem to be going around at the moment. There's a lot of people I know are struggling. So. Right. So Katie says she sincerely appreciates us all doing the show. It's been good for her brain to have the routine of watching us. Her brain has been absolutely.
It makes you feel better about yourself watching us. It's one of our key things that we try and thank you.
Mark There you go.
True Trekkies look out for each other as we are a family. Yeah, this has popped up recently on the show where we've had people making threats against Dan and bullying and stuff like that. You do wonder sometimes how many people enjoy Star Trek actually get Star Trek. The answer is, of course, please watch more Star Trek if you're behaving like a cock.
Watch the other franchise if that's what you believe in. Pew, pew,
and
pew.
now we've said today what's gone on. A big thank you to the person who threatened me and made me feel like that just when I was dealing with all of that at the same time. So impeccable timing. Right.
I would have headed down a deep hole these past 2+ years without my Star Trek. There's so many great podcasts and live streams. I mean, this is again, Linda. I'd love to hear that. We started it. Well, Dan started it really quite selfishly with the rest of us because to make sure we all stayed in touch. It's just wonderful. Everyone else has been aboard for the ride. So thank you for making it special.
Yeah.
Yes, you saw my lawnmower again. It goes right up to the edge of the window. This is the thing, Mark. So.
Can you get it some little lights like a Cylon?
Yes, I've got some glow-in-the-dark tape. So because I like it to go off at night because it keeps the foxes out of the garden. But I worry if it were to, I don't know, sort of run itself aground over a rogue rock or something, or a fox carcass, I'd be unaware and I don't want to go out checking the lawn. So I thought, well, if I see the glow-in-the-dark tape and not moving, I know it's a problem. But sadly, the glow-in-the-dark tape was rather cheap. It lasted about a week.
So let's have a look at the rest of the comments. So Vicky says that meds are a tool. Absolutely. It's not bravery. It's not.
No. What you did was a stupid thing to do, but talking about it is brave, Dan. Take credit where it's due.
Hello to Carol. All right, Darlene. Judith, medication's there for taking for an ailment that won't go away on its own. No shame at all needing medication. Yeah. Actually, the hardest one for me at the moment is doing it at regular times, but that's more due to my work and life balance. So, but I'm working on that. Thank you, Graham. Yeah, as I said, it takes 4 to 6 weeks for tablets.
It does make you feel shit before it makes you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to Viagra, which has a pretty swift effect for that.
I couldn't swallow mine. I got a stiff neck.
Well, boys, I've never had to fall for that one, unfortunately. So I'm not old like you guys. I've not got to that dysfunction stage in my life yet.
Right, so similar things. This is I mean, I've had to take medication from the age of 6 to now. I still take salbutamol regularly, but it's the stigma attached to certain medicines, certain conditions. It's okay to take medications for some things than for others, and this is what's wonderful about, as we said right at the start, it's fantastic. On the bridge of the Enterprise in 1986, they had a counsellor sitting next to the captain. That showed how important mental health was, and it has helped reduce the stigma. And that's what, when it's done correctly, this is what I love about Star Trek. When it's done correctly, the representation that Star Trek has done for things like mental health, for the LGBTQ community, personally for me with adoption, it does such a good job of normalizing these things. It's sadly, when it gets it wrong, it does really get it wrong. But when it gets it right, it does it very well.
Yeah, I mean, Judith just said it's an episode I actually watched. There's the episode in Voyager of B'Elanna when she's doing more and more risky things in the holodeck. And when Chakotay essentially shakes her and says, "Look, explain why you're like this," which was what some of my friends did to me, to be honest. But it helped to sort of talk about it. Let's have a look. Mark says, that's interesting. We've got a bench in our local park that every Monday at noon someone's there to talk to you and give you support from the club.
Yeah, this is the bench that Ricky Gervais has done with his Afterlife series, I believe. It's actually I can't stand Ricky Gervais, but this is a really good series on Netflix. I highly recommend it to anyone who's suffering with any mental health issues. It's very good.
Look, here's the most powerful tool than all of them. It's this. You've all got one. All you've got to do is look in your phone book, pick someone to talk to, and dial the number.
Absolutely. Katie says, every time I've tried one of the hotlines over here, that's the States, and it just tries to get you to go to the ER, which in America can financially ruin you.
Yeah.
Universal healthcare we take for granted, and I think.
One of my favourite programs I still like to watch now, the drama, is the famous American medical drama series called Emergency Room or ER. And I watch it mainly because I'm in love with Alex Kingston. But aside from that, the issues that it brings up every week, and in particular in the ER, there's they call the psych. Get the psych down here. Get psych down here. Stat. And it's almost for every other patient. It might financially ruin you, but it seems like in America it's a much more socially acceptable thing to have mental health problems, and it probably is here in the UK, I think.
So, like I say, I watched a lot of Trek, and I've sort of tried looking. I'm probably reading too much into all the episodes at the moment. I'm sort of seeing meaning where there isn't any, if that makes sense. But I ended up watching the episode Cause and Effect. TNG, the one where the Enterprise keeps blowing up.
Yes.
With the 4 pips at the end.
Yeah.
3 pips.
And in my sort of half asleep watching it, but sort of contemplating my own life sort of thing.
You thought, I should be watching Groundhog Day, not this, it's better.
Well, I sort of came to the conclusion that maybe the message in it that I needed to take was it's about breaking the cycle. It's about looking for a different option, because if you keep doing the same thing, it's just going to get the same outcome. Does that make sense?
Well, to be fair to the TNG crew in that, they weren't really conscious they were in a cycle until they started. So it was difficult for them to break it. But it begs the question, when Frasier comes through the time loop at the end, and he's been in a time loop for 80 years, well, why hasn't his crew noticed anything's amiss? And they've been there for decades.
Well,
his crew was obviously very much third string.
Let's have a look.
I think actually when a stranger on your way to a shop, that stranger, they're late to meet their friends to catch that bus.
Yes, this is sliding doors, Judith.
Absolutely. Megan says that this show, and I assume she means our show, not Star Trek. I'm going to take it as our show.
I really would struggle. That's very kind of you to say, Megan.
Do you think we should be prescribed on the NHS then?
Well, Megan holds a very special part, I think, in all of our hearts. And I'd like to take a moment just to say why. Because I haven't exchanged as many words with Megan as I would have liked. But I think I speak for everyone here when I say that Megan's smile and optimism is quite simply infectious whenever you meet her or see her. She's the sort of person who just lights up a room. So thank you for that, Megan.
Absolutely. ER. Now, this is your field of expertise, Richard, not mine.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, all of ER is good. The thing I do enjoy the most about ER is, yes, they've got some very good actors, but they deal with issues way ahead of their time. Like literally 20 years ahead of their time, they're taking on social issues. But yeah, fantastic. Some in the US have mental health issues. It's something. Since what's happened with Dan, I do try and talk to people a bit more about. My father's a mental health nurse anyway, so. But I was talking to one of my friends in Romania, and he was saying that, like in Romania, they have a pill for everything. Are you feeling sad? Pill for that. Feeling too happy? Feeling lazy? Oh, you've got a tummy ache from all the pills that you're taking. We've got a pill for that. But seriously. And that seems to be a bit of a knock on from American. And I've not been to America, I've not been to Romania, but yeah, it seems to be there's a part of, yes, there's recognised there's a problem, and certainly what seems to be happening, as I heard from the horse's mouth in Romania, that to some drug companies has been an opportunity to cash in. So I think, again, we're very lucky here in the United Kingdom to have a National Health Service.
I mean, I just want to say, as much as everyone on Facebook and all a lot of the people on here have reached out and been amazing, I just wanted to say I wouldn't have been able to get through the sort of last 10 weeks without the following. And I just want to say a big thank you to Carl, James, Richard, Carol, Sam, Sarah, Vicky, who I speak to practically daily, and have all just been so much to me that I can't really put in words. And you've all helped more than I can probably ever say.
What are friends for?
Yeah, thank you. Right, so that's enough of me. So let's have a chat about Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds, that's the show we talk about, isn't it?
We're doing an episode behind, aren't we? So not talking about the one that's just aired that was crap. We're talking about the one the week before that.
Right, okay. One before I wasn't overly enamoured with, if I'm honest.
This one with the kid they plugged into the machine and...
No, that was this week's.
No, that's last week's. This week's was the one with the pirate impression.
Oh, have I not seen this week?
This week's one was woeful.
Oh, I haven't seen this week's one yet. I've seen the one.
Well, good. Well, then you've got that to look forward to. This week's one that we're talking about, you're getting me all emotional over here. Thank you so much. You're most welcome. I took my son around messages, avoid ambulance in the visit costs. You can go straight to a mental health hospital. Oh, wow. That's fantastic service. Brilliant. So the episode that's just gone of Discovery, I thoroughly enjoyed because it did what I think. Are we going to break down the episode first and then say?
Yeah, I haven't got slides. I didn't prepare anything, so I honestly thought it was
synopsis to remind myself.
Yeah.
Okay, James, if you've got the synopsis there, run us through what happened.
Okay, the Enterprise, that's the ship in the show, receives a distress call from a shuttlecraft under attack from a warship while returning to the planet Majalis. Cadet Uhura uses Enterprise's phasers to destroy the warship. The shuttlecraft personnel are beamed aboard. A boy designated the first servant, his father, and physician Gamal, and Alora, the president of Majalis.
Less detail, James. We could be here sometime.
I'm reading the plot out for you here. Who is an old flame of Pike? This is he, by the way. Pike is a player. Alora enlists Pike's help to return them to Majalis. Uhura and Noonien Singh investigate the shipwreck and discover its origins in a rebellious colony of Majalis, and Gamal in a rebel plot. Gamal attempts to fake his son's death to save him, but the servant decides to beam down to Majalis. Alora invites Pike to a ceremony. I'll leave it there.
So, before we go through into it, Richard's holding up a pedal. Why are we holding up a pedal?
I was trying to fast forward James, but...
All right, okay. Which TNG episode did
I'm a lawyer. I charge by the hour, you know.
Which TNG episode did this?
And when I make love.
Go on, then, boys. Which Next Generation episode did it feel like?
The one with Picard and Famke Janssen. Yes. What's it called?
Perfect Mate. Perfect Mate.
Perfect Mate.
It was very much feelings of that, I felt.
Yes, duty before personal feelings.
Inspired by.
See, what I liked about this episode, this might be a little bit controversial, which is always a bit uncharacteristic for me, but what I liked was that Pike was quite willing to screw the Prime Directive, take the moral high ground.
That's not all he screwed.
Consequences be damned. I'm going to do, as Picard once put right, the right thing. Sometimes a person of good moral substance must do what is right, and the consequences be damned. And Pike did his best to do that. Ultimately, he failed, and ultimately, looking back at the episode, he probably shouldn't have tried to do it. But there's nothing better than humans marauding across the galaxy, telling all these strange people they're doing it wrong.
Essentially, Pike did the equivalent of what Richard does when he says, "Tell us your favorite episode, and I'll tell you why you're wrong."
Yeah. Precisely so.
Maybe did you give Anson any hints on how to play this when you spoke to him? I mean, you've been doing this line for 2 years.
I thought that I actually genuinely, in stark contrast to the most recent episode, I thought that what really sold this episode were the supporting cast. The Doctor, the young boy, Pike's old lover. I thought they really sold the episode well. They were really good supporting. It was also very well directed. Again, things completely lacking from the most recent episode, but it was very good. I enjoyed it. Certainly not the best of the series. It's a high standard, but I enjoyed it nonetheless.
Yeah.
And we have to talk about Pike's hair.
Why?
I mean, is it me or is it getting taller and taller every week? The quiff.
Wrong person to talk to.
Or what is it called? A pompadour or something? It's a huge quiff. Dan, your quiff is as the Brecon Beacons is to the Grand Canyon with Anson Mount's enormous quiff.
Maybe. Oh, very good.
Exactly. Yes, the haircut that launched 1,000 memes.
I think he's deliberately trying to insult Picard with that quiff.
So let's talk. I'm going to give my thoughts on this episode now, and then James, if you want to give. Oh, actually, James, you do yours first. I've left enough this time.
Yeah. I thought it was an average episode of Strange New Worlds, but to be fair, I'd had a long week and drink had been taken when I finally got round to watching it. But bearing in mind the standard of Strange New Worlds, an average episode of Strange New Worlds is above.
Yeah.
So, yes.
I mean,
episode 9 out of 10. I'll give it that. Average episode of Strange New Worlds. Of Star Trek, in recent years, it was 10 out of 10.
It had that little. Do you know how we discussed how Picard season 2 started really good, and then it had a couple of episodes that felt a bit fillery, and then it got quite energetic towards the end.
I get where you're going with this, Dan, but you have to remember that Strange New Worlds is deliberately episodic. I mean, there's a slight underplot. Picard was a deliberate long story arc, so it's going to be, I think.
I just wonder if they're saving up the budget for something big towards the.
Well, we know in Picard season 3 you've got the whole TNG cast back, and not just in cameos, in proper roles. So that's where that budget's gone.
Really? I thought British was quite cheap.
I mean, Michael Dorn, he's got fighter planes to pay for.
He has, yes.
And Marina Sirtis has got Tottenham season tickets to buy.
They're
a football club, I believe.
They are. They've got a lovely stadium, actually. It's very nice. They're from a rather empty trophy cabinet, but lovely stadium. A quiff was a pompadour in the 1950s. What was it in the late 90s at Greenwich University, James?
I didn't have a quiff. I had curtains. That was the thing in the 90s.
I had curtains too. Well, for a short time. I cut them off in the second year.
Back in the 90s, I had all my hair.
Me too. I used to spike it up. More than once, and red ones. Shit, do you reckon that's what did it?
Well, no, what does for men's hair, Richard, is sheer amounts of testosterone.
Gosh, yes. It's like a solar panel for a sex machine.
Wow. As the member of the group that's not losing their...
that's a quote from Patrick Stewart, by the way, not me. I stole that.
Okay.
Chest hair is obviously very different because that's something for the ladies to hang on to.
Or back hair for your children to hang on to while they're riding you like a fucking horse.
Oh dear.
If anyone wants 2 children, by the way, I'm going to be putting mine on the market, I think, tomorrow. The affection I've been shown for Father's Day today has been wanting. It has been noted. I'm thinking of trading them in.
Well, we have been sent an image of James in his university days with his curtain hair, which we will put up on the screens.
Is it an orangutan?
That's Justin Bieber. Isn't it? Justin Bieber.
Which boy band was I in?
Oh, that is not Justin Bieber. That was, in fact, bonus points if anyone can tell me who that was. There's bound to be some 90s babies in the chat. Carol, Vicky, I'm looking at you. Come on, who was that?
Gone, so that certainly wasn't me.
Carol and Vicky had taste.
Who is this?
Although I did have. Do you know the popular
East
boy band East 17? Are you aware of East 17? Have you heard of East 17?
I'm familiar with their work.
Yes, they came round to my flat at university, and I threw the shorter one with earrings out because I didn't know who he was.
Well, if these 17 turned up to my house, I'd be throwing them out.
Well, the girls had invited them back to the flat, and I was unaware of this. Genuinely, I was at the time. I was in my dressing gown with Leo, playing a game of chess in the room, drinking red wine. And all of a sudden, there was a knock at the door. We opened up, and E17 rolled in with all their entourage. And me and Leo were having none of it. Right? No, you're like, who you are? Get out! And we threw them all out. All of the E17 people, and then the girls came home and went, "Where are E17?" We said, "Well, no, we're in NW4. What are you talking about?" And then I had to get dressed and go and find them, apologise profusely, and get them to come back because the girls are absolutely livid. Yeah, it all worked out okay in the end, apart from one of them tried to smoke one of those funny cigarettes. I was having none of that. So, yeah.
Right, let's have a look. Sam, hello, how you doing, darling? No, it was not Jack Ryder. It was, Mark is correct, Adam Rickett from the 90s.
What?
Judith was
I know Bob Morton.
Oh, Bob Mortimer, he's fun.
That's brilliant. Oh, would he be like if you had a dinner party and like you can have 5 people? Number 1 be Bob Mortimer of anyone's list. Bob Mortimer.
So we've talked about Strange Worlds, and it was an all right episode. Moving on. If you're in the comments, who has got a non-refundable hotel room for Destination Star Trek that you can't get back? That you're gonna it's either use it or lose it. If you have, jump into the comments because we are currently plotting some sort of weekend meetup, possibly if there's enough people.
It's true. We have been plotting.
That sounds like a really good idea.
Yes, so we're trying to see who's around and who fancy doing something. I promise you, and I swear down now, it will not involve walking from the Science Museum to the Hard Rock Cafe, which is only this far on the map. Because that far on the map.
How far can that possibly be?
How far could it be?
The hotels next to the Excel, actually around there's a plethora of lovely. There's the Nissa local. There's that really nice Chinese restaurant. There was the place where the Trekkie girls had dinner, where all those veterinary ladies kept chatting me up. There's there. There's all sorts of places around there that were quite. What was it called? The Socket and Mouse Trap or something? I don't know.
No, the Fox.
That'd be it. Yes. The Fox is clearly what I meant, not the Socket and Mouse Trap. Although that's probably a good name for a pub in London. Yes, I think we should all meet up, regardless. Especially those of you who've got non-refundable hotels. Why not? And we'll all have a jolly good time.
I know. Bring your costumes and we'll film a time travel episode somewhere around modern day London.
I would just like to point out, this is the Science Museum.
Dan, honestly, it's not far. Look, it was a
Just 10 minutes by car. Yeah,
12-minute walk, if that. It was not far.
30 minutes, 31 minutes.
Yeah, but we got to see the Iranian embassy, didn't we? I mean, who doesn't want to see that? we walked straight past.
We didn't see the SAS rappelling down the front of it, though, did we?
Brilliant. We walked past the Iranian embassy. No, there were no SAS people rappelling down the side of it or setting fire to the curtains. But what, the Iranian embassy? Okay.
Yes,
Well,
because we're going to do a Rikers Beer thing down here at some point, regardless, aren't we?
So the thing is, Christoph, we were thinking of things to do and ways around it, blah, blah. But a lot of people do have non-refundable hotel rooms close to the XL, which is why we figured, that's going to be the place to come. James lives in Ramsgate. But yes, we. Oh, James, are you heading to the Iranian embassy again?
I am.
Well, I'm trying to set fire to the curtains this time. But yes, as Dan was alluding to before, his camera didn't update again. Yeah, it's a case of we know a lot of people have non-refundable hotel rooms, so I think it'd be lovely if we could all still meet up in the same place. They might not be having a convention, but
well, we'll have our own convention with blackjack and hookers.
We can, yes. I mean, it's preferably cheap ones. It's £8 a pint in that hotel. But,
unless you go to the Nissa local.
Yes, you can go to the Nissa local.
This hat says Strange New Worlds on the top of it. I'm not sure if it's relevant to this week's episode. But...
Yes.
Arr.
I sadly, this is where I have this webcam problem. I can't actually see Dan. So. Was he wearing a hat?
I was wearing a pirate hat.
Ah. Yes, there were pirates in this week's SNW.
No. So, yeah, that is sort of what we had to talk about today.
Absolutely.
Happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there.
Absolutely. Now, just to recap, if you are having struggles or whatever, reach out, say hello. Problem shared, problem halved, and you know what? Yeah. Chances are one of us, 4 of us, because we're all going through stuff, is probably going through something similar at the moment. So whatever it is, so we might have some useful advice.
Viagra. You can get it now discreetly via post. It keeps popping up in my Facebook timeline. I'm thinking, well, I've not Google searched this. Why is it popping up? Why have the algorithms singled me out?
Ironic that you should say popping up.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I'm thinking to myself, have I not been visiting the sites I would normally visit enough? Has it noticed this? This is what I'm wondering.
Maybe it's noticed that you're only on that site for about 30 seconds at a time.
I wish that was so.
Oh dear.
Yes.
Why other people in the house might have been searching for it.
Drop into the comments, people. If you want to meet up in London, what should we do? Should we go to Page's Bar, which isn't there anymore? Should we go to the Science Museum? Shall we go to the I don't know.
Go to the Science Museum and then have a jolly walk to the Hard Rock Cafe for us.
Yes, a light stroll through Central London.
Yeah, so you can walk past the Iranian embassy.
A picnic in Hyde Park. Oh no, hang on, it'll be September, won't it?
I'd like to point out it's also
my
birthday weekend, and it's 2 weeks after Carl's birthday, so we might be having a sort of joint birthday celebration.
Oh, definitely a walk.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
I
You
didn't
know
ask.
how much Dan likes a nice stroll.
Just let me shut this Amazon majigger up. Be quiet, Amazon majigger.
Echo.
Computer, order 10 litres of whipped cream.
Oh God, mine's called Echo. No, shut up. Echo, no, Echo, stop.
Echo, add industrial lube to my shopping list.
No, Echo. No.
Auto destruct.
It has literally just had a paddy now. I'm getting some Viagra.
Right, okay. Vicky, we haven't won the lottery, so we can't do a London pub crawl.
We can.
I'll tell you what, when you come down to Ramsgate for the Rikers Beard thing, we'll do a pub crawl then. That's a lot cheaper.
We can simply crawl from one Nissa local to the next.
Do you know, I was in work last night, and it was 4 Jaeger bombs for a £5, and it was £2 a pint.
Sadly, as I was in my 20s, that wouldn't interest me. But
Next time I'm in London and I want to buy a pint, I'll use this.
oh, what you got there?
It's a gold brick.
Oh wow! What
It looks very light for a gold brick.
No,
No,
I'm
James
just
is
really tough.
Yeah. Look at his hat.
Mm-hmm. So, as the two of you are fathers and get Father's Day gifts, what did you get?
Disappointment.
Mm. Was it a Toblerone?
I got some beard oil. Genuine.
I was allowed to take them for an ice cream.
Well,
To be fair, my son, bless him, he's got chicken pox at the moment. He's got it terribly badly, and he's suffering.
have you not been tempted to get a marker pen and join all his dots up?
I'm not sure there's really space to join them up, to be honest. There's that many.
Poor lad.
Well, so yeah, that has been Father's Day. Sorry if I put a downer on the beginning of the show. Didn't intend to. The intention was
Father in Star Trek, Dan.
Yeah, the intention actually was at the beginning of the show. It was just going to be me. I was going to chat about that, but
Best father in Star Trek.
best father in Star Trek has got to be Rom.
Rom. Oh,
Oh, I don't know.
you're not
I
going to say Cisco then?
I
No,
really do like Riker's dad.
I can justify Rom, and I'll tell you how. Cisco is critical of Jake's decisions. When Jake wants to be an author, he's critical of that. When Jake decides to stay behind, he gets critical of that. But Rom has character development. He goes from being a misogynistic little greedy troll to being leader of reform as the Grand Nagus. He marries Lita. He supports Rom getting into Starfleet Academy. He gives away his wealth. He shows a great example for Nog.
I think that Nog achieves what he achieves in spite of Ron, rather than because of him, if I'm honest with you. I think he's a bit of a wet lettuce of a father. Is my own personal take on him. And I would also
be a father who's just a wet lettuce. If you give care and love, then that's all you can do, really, isn't it? You don't have to be a pushy father.
well, not if you don't want your children to succeed, no. But you also
Ooh.
Avery Brooks is a terrible dad to Jake. I don't think he gives him as from the other end of the spectrum. He doesn't give him half as much support, or is a bit overly critical and all the rest of it. And the reason why I'm slagging off both of those is because I'm trying to empathise with all you dads out there. Is that you're never freaking good enough. That's why we keep trying. If you think you're a good dad, you're doing it wrong.
I'll tell you who was a bad dad.
It was a work in progress.
Tell you who was a bad dad. Robert Picard. Not one working smoke alarm in that house.
Too soon, Dan. Too soon.
Okay, fine. Also, Max sings Star Trek versions of classic German songs at cons in German.
I've got a book of German songs that came my way, and my favourite is "Ich bin Dr. Eisenbart." Boom, boom, boom.
Right. Okay. We've got an argument here that Worf is actually the worst father.
Yeah, he was. I mean, you could argue he was a good Klingon father, but in human terms, no, he wasn't much cop, was he?
Mm.
That's why. Okay, I see you all laughed at me when I said Riker's dad. You know, but Riker becomes an admiral. Did something right, didn't he? You know,
Well, let's have a look.
Does he though? In Picard, he's never been an admiral.
oh, wasn't he? I thought he was an admiral.
No, he's a captain. He's a retired captain.
Oh, is he?
Let's have a look. So we got Megan says that Owen Paris wasn't exactly Father of the Year.
He was a tool. Quite right.
Let's have a think. Other bad dads.
Oh,
James Kirk.
tell you who was the best dad. Tell you who was the best dad. Neelix to Naomi Walden.
No.
Fantastic dad. To her.
No.
He was. Okay, technically it was the whole crew that brought her up, but Neelix was her father figure, and he did a wonderful job.
Mhm.
Well, it's arguable, I suppose.
Julian's dad went to prison for him, so
Yeah, he was very good, and he loved him so much he genetically modified him because he was a bit stupid.
yeah. Which we'd like to say we're going to call it there. That circles back to the beginning, which is if something's not right, go see a doctor. So yeah, the show's come full circle.
So hang on, you're suggesting that if we're unhappy with our children, we should have them genetically enhanced, Dan? Is that really the message you want to put across?
I think so. Yeah,
Okay, all right, fair enough.
the technology's there. I mean, if they've got rotten teeth, you take them to the dentist, get them straightened out. You know?
I mean, I'm thinking boarding school's my solution.
Oh yes, or military school.
Oh, there is a boarding military school near us. Duke of York.
There is.
Isabel there.
Yes.
Yes.
Miles O'Brien is the best Trek dad.
Oh, you've won, Judith. He is absolutely superb. You're right.
And
he's not.
yeah,
he's
he
not
goes
just
to
a great
Bollocks,
father figure.
where they lose Molly.
He's a great coping working dad as well, isn't he? He gets stuck in even though he's put in a shift. Judith, you can't remember where you come from, Judith. You're Victoria's friend, aren't you? That lives away and drinks a lot. I think that's you. Yes, you hit the nail on the head there, Judith. You're quite right.
Yeah. Well, there we go. We have it that Chief O'Brien is the best father.
Yes, he is.
I think we can all support that decision.
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Well, that, boys and girls, has been Let Talk Trek.
What?
That's
Are
it.
you a volcanologist, Judith? Is that kind of some Star Trek pun?
It has been Sunday night. It's been our hour. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to me prattle on and the guys. And support means a lot. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, everyone's having a bit tough at the moment. So all share some love with each other.
And remember, look after yourselves and each other.
More joyousness next week.
Unless you want to join us right now on Let's Talk Trek Noir.
For willy copters and all sorts.
Oh, God. We're getting taken off the air, aren't we? I'm sorry, Mark. I didn't mean for him to be like this. Please don't ban me, Mr. Zuckerberg. Yes. Right. Au revoir.
Ta-ta.
Bloop, bloop, bloop. Someone got email.